This presentation is on growth mindsets and fixed mindsets. The grammar focus is on making negatives. We used to believe that the brain stopped growing and changing when we became adults. Used to is an adjective that means something that was true in the past but is not true now. But scientists who study the brain discovered that the brain can continue to grow and change. They now believe we can help our brains grow stronger by using good strategies, asking questions, practicing skills, eating healthy foods, and getting enough sleep. How does that work? There are special nerve cells in the human body called neurons. The job of neurons is to send information throughout the body. Scientists learned that the way neurons connect in your brain can change based on your thoughts and experience. Neurons build connections to each other to send and receive information. They can grow new connections, make old connections stronger, and make the information between neurons go faster. Let's look at an example. Neurons build connections to each other to send and receive information. You read about an offer for free shipping. You know what free shipping is, so that connection is already there. It doesn't need to be built. But you can build new connections by asking questions and analyzing information. For example, is the shipping really free? Is the item worth the price? Would it be cheaper to drive to the store? The next time you make a similar decision, that connection between neurons gets stronger. Similar is an adjective that means almost the same. Stronger is an adjective that means more strong. And each time you have a similar decision to make, the information between neurons goes faster. Faster is an adjective that means more fast. Let's look at a very simple example. When you're learning how to drive a car, the first time you're driving the car, you're building new connections between neurons. It's a new experience. The next time you get into the car and drive, you're making those connections stronger because you're making the same kinds of decisions every time. The more experience you have driving, the faster you can make those decisions. So after a few years, when you're an experienced driver, you don't really even have to think about it. It's second nature. Professor Carol Dweck doesn't study neurons, but she studies the way people think and learn. She discovered two different ways of thinking. She called them a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. People who believe their brains will never change have a fixed mindset. People who believe their brains can grow have a growth mindset. Here are some examples of the way a growth mindset and a fixed mindset think. In a growth mindset, people say, I can learn anything I want to. When I'm frustrated, I persevere. That means I don't quit. I want to challenge myself. When I fail, I learn. Tell me I try hard. If you succeed, I'm inspired. My effort and attitude determine everything. On the other hand, someone with a fixed mindset thinks, I'm either good at it or I'm not. When I'm frustrated, I give up. I don't like to be challenged. When I fail, I'm no good. Tell me I'm smart. If you succeed, I feel threatened. My abilities determine everything. People with a growth mindset understand that the more effort they put into learning, the smarter they get. They try new things and aren't afraid to make mistakes because they know that's how the brain learns and grows. You can change your mindset and you can help your children have a growth mindset too. Change your words, change your mindset. For example, when things go well, don't say, good job, you're so smart. Say, good job, you worked really hard. Praise hard work and effort to encourage a growth mindset. To praise is a verb that means to say good things about someone or something. When things are hard, don't ask, how did everyone else do? Say, you worked hard and you didn't give up. Base your judgments of yourself on what you can control and your own growth. Don't compare yourself to others. Now let's look at the grammar, making negative sentences. What is the main verb of this sentence? A verb is an action word or the be verb. The verb is. Carol Dweck is a college professor. How do you make this sentence negative? Carol Dweck is a college professor. She, a scientist. She isn't a scientist. What is the main verb of this sentence? She studies how people think and learn. The main verb is studies. Studies agrees with the subject she. You add an S for third person singular he, she, or it in the present tense. When you add a consonant like D to Y, you change the Y to I and add ES. How do you make this sentence negative? She studies how people think and learn. She, neurons in the brain. She doesn't study neurons in the brain. When do you use do as a helping verb to make a negative? Use the helping verb do when there isn't a be verb or a modal. She isn't a scientist. She doesn't study neurons in the brain. Modals are special helping verbs. They have special rules that we'll study later this semester. Let's review making negatives with the be verb. In the present tense, I am not, you are not, he, she, it is not, we are not, they are not. The not goes after the be verb. In the past tense, I was not, you were not, he, she, it was not, we were not, they were not. If there's a be verb, put not after the be verb to make the negative. Carol Dweck is a college professor. She isn't a scientist. People with a growth mindset are willing to try new things. They aren't afraid to make mistakes. If there isn't a be verb, use the helping verb do and the base form of the verb. For example, she studies how people think and learn. She doesn't study neurons in the brain. Study is the base form of the verb studies. People with a fixed mindset think the brain stays the same. They don't think the brain grows. Let's review the do verb. I do, you do, he, she, it does, we do, they do. The only time it changes is for third person singular he, she, or it. The past tense of do is the same for all subjects, did. When do is used as a helping verb, it must agree with or go with the subject. She doesn't study neurons in the brain. Doesn't goes with he, she, or it. They don't think the brain grows. Don't goes with I, you, we, and they. For past tense sentences, use did, which is the past tense of the helping verb do. Scientists didn't know about brain cell development until 1998. Carol Dweck didn't write about mindsets until 2006. So did or did not tells you that the sentence is negative. Remember, the verb is always in the base form when you use the helping word do or did. Let's practice. Use the underlined verb to make a negative sentence. George is happy to try new things. He isn't afraid of making mistakes. Fred likes to do things he knows how to do. He doesn't like to try new things. George and Fred are different. They aren't the same. George and Fred have different mindsets. They don't have the same mindset. George has a growth mindset. He doesn't have a fixed mindset. Have is the base form of has. George had a fixed mindset last week. He didn't have a growth mindset last week. So didn't is the past tense helping verb, and have is the base form of the verb had. George's brain is growing now. It isn't staying the same. Nice work. Just one more thing. Do can be the main verb in a sentence. For example, I do the dishes. My son does his homework. I did the laundry yesterday. But do can also be a helping verb to make negatives. My son plays basketball. He doesn't play soccer. My husband writes computer programs. He doesn't write books. Do is like a superhero. It's a regular verb and a helping verb. Like Clark Kent is a regular guy, but he can also be Superman and help other people. Do can be the main verb and the helping verb in the same sentence. For example, Jonathan does homework. Mary doesn't do homework. Mary does yoga. Jonathan doesn't do yoga. Make the second sentence negative. My son does homework. My son does homework. My husband doesn't do homework. I do the dishes. They don't do the dishes. Don't is your helping word and do is your main verb in the base form. I do the laundry. My son doesn't do the laundry. Doesn't is the helping verb that has to agree with the subject, my son, and the main form of the verb is do. My friend does yoga. I don't do yoga. Great job. Keep up the good work.